la raza, puto. We earned our independence. If you're proud and you're in there, you're a disgrace. You didn't earn that shit.
Well, this is actually happening. I'll explain in a second. Okay, so if you are unaware, federal agents and protesters have been clashing for over 100 days in a row now at this Portland federal building.
Following a formal investigation into the facility's detention practices, the City of Portland will soon issue a notice of land use violation.
You can't make this stuff up. Instead of addressing the police not helping out in the area, instead of addressing the local residents who have been begging for help, the city has decided to issue a land notice violation. Even though the city technically doesn't have a way to even enforce it. We'll talk about that in a second. But before we start the video, make sure to please like this video. It's the #1 way you guys are helping this channel, but it also helps others see the videos as well. And the mainstream media, they're not talking about this. Donald Trump just found out about it. So make sure you please like the video so others will see what's actually going on.
You know, ICE has told us repeatedly that the facility on McAdam Street in South Portland is not a detention center, but the facility operates under a conditional use permit issued back in 2011 that designates the property as a detention center and allows for 4 holding cells.
Okay, so for months now, the city of Portland has been trying to figure out how do we deal with these clashes that's going on every single night. There are residents across the street who are begging for help. And the city leadership, they're standing with the Portland protesters. They've made that clear during city council meetings. So the city, they decided, let's try and go after the permit of the building. Because within the permit of the building, you have a contract where if you're going to detain anyone inside of this building, it cannot be beyond 12 hours. But under the Biden administration and the Trump administration, there are examples where people have been held over 12 hours.
I'm Keith Wilson, Portland's mayor. I'm here to share an important update about the Immigration and Customs Enforcement facility in Southwest Portland. Following a formal investigation into the facility's detention practices, the City of Portland will soon issue a notice of land use violation. Federal records show that ICE violated its land use conditions of approval 25 times in 10 months by detaining people for more than 12 hours or keeping them overnight.
So again, for anyone who's new here, the city of Portland, they have really been trying to figure out for the last several months, how can we deal with this situation at this building? Because again, this is happening every single night. So again, the city, they are well aware this happens every single night. They know there is like pepper spray lingering in the area. There are residents who are choking and coughing and just want help. They know there are fires being lit. There are loud noises constantly, and the police have not been showing up. The city knows about all of this. However, instead of addressing anything you're seeing on the screen, they have decided to go after the permit of the building.
I'm here to thank our community for shining a light on these concerns and to thank our staff for conducting a thorough and thoughtful review. I want to be clear about what this means. This is just one step in a formal process. The outcome is not a foregone conclusion, and the federal government will be given an opportunity to respond.
So here's the reality of the situation, and I can't believe the city of Portland is even going through with this. The city has no legal way to even cancel any contract between the federal government and whoever owns this building. And by the way, we know who owns this building. He's a massive President Trump supporter, like massive.
There's no simple undo button today.
Neither Oregon law nor Portland zoning code allows the city to unilaterally withdraw, rescind, or cancel that prior decision.
That was from back in July. So that is why I'm saying I'm a little shocked that the city of Portland and the mayor, they're going through with this, because from their own words, they have already said there's really nothing we can even do as far as canceling any of these contracts. But there's even something else we should all know. A city doesn't even have authority over the federal government.
Under the law for land use permitting things, we are required to give them an opportunity to rectify that. Even if ICE says, actually, we fixed everything and we are in compliance now, the permitting department after 30 days will be able to challenge that.
So again, this city councilor from Portland, she knows about supremacy clauses. The mayor knows about it. They know they have no way to even, go after this contract. However, the city council, it looks like they might find some new unique ways to try and disrupt Homeland Security, or at least having other buildings in the area.
So I want to share with you 3 different policies that my office is working on that creatively get around the supremacy clause issue. One of my policies disincentivizes landlords from leasing to ICE or to other detention facilities by creating a fee system where the city incurs a different cost and debt every time a detention facility opens because it is politically chaotic, right? The city ends up having to pay for more policing. The city ends up having to pay for environmental cleanup because of all of the tear gas. There are disruptions to transit, all sorts of things that end up costing us a lot of money.
So I hope you guys can see the irony in this. The police in Portland, they don't have to help out Homeland Security. A judge has already made that order. And by the way, it's for like the smallest of things. The judge said you don't have to enforce the noise code. So when it comes to using taxpayer money for the police to help out with these other facilities, that's already not a thing. And as far as using taxpayer money to clean up the area, the protesters have already been told you cannot set up encampments, but all the protesters do is they will just move the encampments over. So again, this city councilor is trying to shift the blame on Homeland when her own city is not really even enforcing the rules that they created.
However, we must remember this review was triggered by the federal government's breaking promises to our community regarding the detention of human beings. Whatever comes of this process, I hope you will join me in celebrating and supporting Portland's immigrant community and standing in solidarity with all those who've been impacted by the actions of the federal government in recent days. I owe a special thank you to city staff for doing this hard and important work with integrity. Thank you, Portlanders.
Okay, this is also going to be a very big issue for the city of Portland. When this initial contract was signed, there were not protesters in front of the Portland Federal Building here 24 hours a day for now 100 days plus in a row. So what I'm trying to say is the federal government, all they have to do is prove that the reason why people have been held in detention for over 12 hours, we have abnormal circumstances. There are people blocking the front driveway constantly. How are we supposed to leave safely? We have protesters who are trying to take pictures, who are throwing rocks, who are smashing garbage cans with fire inside of it towards our building. We just wanted to protect the people inside the building. The point I'm trying to make is the federal government, they have quite a lot of different ways how they could prove their case as far as why they have broken the rules. Now, don't get me wrong. If the federal government has purposely been breaking the rules, they're breaking a contract. I have no problem in saying that. However, as somebody who's been covering this every single day, I think it's very safe to say the city of Portland has a way bigger burden of proof as to why they have been allowing this happening on their own streets.
That same permit states that that no detainee can be held for longer than 12 hours or overnight in the facility. Now, our investigation discovered at least 25 instances where people were held longer for 12 hours. In one case, data shows that a person was held for 47 days. That's what the city found as well, and now they are sending a land use violation notice to the ICE facility.
And by the way, I don't know why the news keeps leaving this out. This is not only a President Trump issue, this also happened under the Joe Biden administration, which is why I'm also a little shocked that the city of Portland is opening up this can of worms, because when people are looking into this story, they're going to realize, oh, it's not only President Trump. Why did Joe Biden also let this happen?
The city says they will send the violation notice to ICE on Thursday, and we reached out to ICE for comment but did not immediately hear back. Now, it's important to note that even though the city is issuing this land use violation, it does not mean that the ICE facility will be shut down. There's a myriad of bureaucratic steps that can initiate that process following the notice, with timelines of 30 to 60 days or longer.
And I'm really trying to be fair in my reporting here, but one thing I don't like about what's going on in Portland, I mean, people are being misled, extremely misled, especially if you have no idea what was going on the past several months. I showed you guys back in July, they already admitted, yeah, we probably can't do anything about this, and oh, legally we can't either. So now all of a sudden, when more people are knowing about this story or looking into Portland, even President Trump, it looks like, wow, the mayor and the city council, they really are gonna get rid of Homeland Security. But even back in July, we had an admission they can't.
Are choosing to open a detention facility with a government contractor, then you are going to have to pay whatever it costs for the city to do that cleanup, that extra policing, etc., to the city of Portland. No one should be profiting from human suffering, and unfortunately we live in a society that does incentivize that, but I'm hoping that this policy will be one piece to chip away at that. I believe that the next frontier of fighting fascism in the 21st century is going to be through stopping mass surveillance, and we know that ICE has really been beefing up their capabilities with regards to mass tracking and surveillance, both of activists and of immigrants themselves.
Okay, so I don't know how any of this is going to be held up in a court of law. Look, I am not advocating for the detention business here. I don't know anything about that, but the point I'm trying to make is you can legally do something, but now you're being punished for it over in Portland. And as far as talking about the mass surveillance, I'm even kind of shocked this city councilor is advocating against it, yet at the same time, 3 TikToks ago, this happened.
My office has taken more of the data and surveillance privacy approach because I think that the next frontier of fighting fascism is going to be immense government surveillance. So that includes anything from license plate readers to facial recognition technology. And it would be really helpful if people who are on the ground, who are able to see some of that technology that ICE is using, if you could photograph it and send it to our offices. That's all information that we can use to try to figure out where we need to target, because it's not freely available to us, all of the tools that they have at their disposal.
Here's the thing, I agree with the city councilor. When it comes to data collection and surveillance, a lot of us do question the efficacy of it and how far does it go. But at the same time, you are asking people to pretty much do the exact same thing, collect the data, and give it to the government. So I'm just reminding some people that's out there. Okay, so let's talk about the response from the federal government. Here's where I think all of this could completely backfire, not only for the city of Portland, but also the protesters. Because let's be honest, these protesters, they're on the front lines, and the city has said, we support you. I could show you guys those clips if you want, and the quotes. But here's what I think could happen. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but this could happen, definitely. If the city wants to go through with this escalation of trying to push back against the federal government, and a city does have the right to do that, don't get me wrong, but if the city is not even going to send police to help out, and now they're putting pressure on the federal government to close down their doors, I would not be surprised if we start to see these protesters get arrested for like everything, because the federal agents have admitted they want these protesters to still have the right to protest, but at the same time, legally speaking, like half of these people right now could be charged for assault, for trespassing. This person right here could be charged with trespassing, obstruction, but the federal agents don't want to do that. You can go check out their own quotes. We've talked about it before. They don't want to arrest these protesters because they want to have an equal balance. Allow them to protest. But at the same time, if the city, they're not going to help out, they're not going to send the police, the federal agents, if they really wanted to, they could start arresting all of these people, and we're not going to see any more protesters here on the front lines. They're going to be having to face a federal court. So I'm just being honest here. I really do think if the federal government wanted to, just to show that they can do it, I would not be surprised if we start to see a lot of these protesters arrested.
The final policy my office is bringing forward will be to prevent private security to be used to detain immigrants, thus helping ICE until they're able to come pick them up. So we're hoping that we can't regulate the federal government, but we can ensure that private security are only enforcing local and state laws, and our local laws have sanctuary city protections.
So I hope you're starting to notice the city of Portland, they really have chosen a side. The city council, they're all on the same team here. There's no opposition against one another. The mayor's on the same side. They do not want to punish these protesters. Despite breaking noise ordinance, fire codes, we've covered it all on my channel, punching journalists in the face. Some of my friends who helped me with this channel, they're having issues even, getting anything done in the area because they're afraid of being attacked. The Portland leadership have made it clear. They're going to go after the building, not what's in front of the building.
I'm here to thank our community for shining a light on these concerns and to thank our staff for conducting a thorough and thoughtful review. I want to be clear about what this means. This is just one step in a formal process. The outcome is not a foregone conclusion, and the federal government will be given an opportunity to respond.
And honestly, the federal government has already responded. President Trump is not happy with what's going on here, and the last thing I want to say is this. I would not be surprised if this current administration sends the Guard or more federal agents as the response in which the mayor is talking about. Anyway, the last thing I actually want to say is pray for peace. We want peace. These clashes are not fun. We want everybody to come together, and we want more peace in this country, especially in today's political environment. But unfortunately in Portland, because the police are not helping out, the federal agents really only have one choice. They have to do their job, and a lot of that is involving clashing with these protesters. Anyway, I appreciate you guys so much. God bless, and we'll see you all later.